If you spend any time in the true crime universe at all, then you know conviction is not always the last word, especially if you're a celebrity convict like Ghislaine Maxwell, the former lover, enabler, and co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein. Today, her lawyers were trying to persuade a federal appeals court in Manhattan to just throw out her 2021 sex trafficking conviction. And they actually cited a few different grounds. But the big one was that outrageous plea deal that Jeffrey Epstein made with the feds back in 2007 in Florida. That was such a controversial agreement because it basically gave that scumbag weekend jail for raping dozens of teenage girls. And maybe equally appalling, it shielded, quote, potential co-conspirators from facing prosecution. And Ghislaine Maxwell is now considering herself a co-conspirator, that she should be shielded. NewsNation correspondent Caitlyn Becker was inside that courtroom today. She joins me now live. So as angry as this makes me, Caitlyn, does Ghislaine Maxwell have a point?
That's really the question now, isn't it, Ashleigh? And it's what a three-panel appellate court judges are deciding in the next couple of weeks, whether or not this argument has any kind of merit. Essentially, Ghislaine Maxwell's defense said that this non-prosecution agreement protects her from being prosecuted as a co-conspirator from any of the actions that were taking place to facilitate Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse. Now, her team pointed out that the language in the document said it covered 4 women connected to Epstein, not specifically Ghislaine Maxwell, but that she too should be covered by this agreement and therefore not able to be prosecuted. Now, prosecutors hit back saying that the language suggested it may be a little bit vague and that it only covers the state of Florida and maybe not nationally. However, we talked to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, Arthur Aidala, outside of court, and he just thinks that's a really weak argument. Take a look.
The non-prosecution would have the case just dismissed, and as it should be, because if we allow the government to make deals with the citizens, with us, and then they decide for whatever reason they're going to rip up that plea agreement, rip up that deal, that handshake means nothing, then our whole system collapses.
Now, Ashleigh, there were a lot of points that her team were trying to argue as reasons for her conviction to be either overturned, vacated, or perhaps get a new trial. But this is the one they spent a lot of time with at court today.
How about the fact that a co-conspirator is something different than a co-offender? Like she was also convicted of doing some of the rapey things as well, right?
This was my whole point that I really got hung up on today, Ashleigh. I don't think this question was answered in court. I don't think we got an answer from it outside of court. Ghislaine Maxwell was accused of participating in some of the sexual abuse, physically participating. That is a lot different, at least to my ears, than facilitating Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse. So I question whether or not, if the 3 judges come back and say, yep, you're right, this does cover this, she shouldn't have been prosecuted, if she can still be prosecuted for physically abusing young girls, some of them as young as 14.
Another thing, and I know they already dispensed with this, but a juror that helped to convict her had said, look, I was whipping through my juror questionnaire. I was bored that day. I didn't even see the question that said, have you been a victim of a crime? And he had been. He'd been molested as a kid. Did they just sort of pile this on? Like, did Glenn's lawyers basically just pile this on and say, and then there's that juror that, should have said that he was a crime victim and didn't, and you guys just said it didn't matter? Was that part of this case?
That is very much part of this case. The arguments that they kind of set up to appeal this conviction are really written out in these hundreds of documents in court briefs, but they only had so much time in court today, and the judges really focused in on that non-prosecution agreement. But this issue with a juror who came out after the fact and said they were, in fact, sexually abused themselves, her attorneys are really hung up on that, and we actually asked them about that outside of court as well. Take a look.
It's all about being fair and impartial, and there are certain things that can happen in one's life that makes you unable to be fair and impartial, and that was the case in Ghislaine Maxwell's jury box and jury room, and he admits it. This isn't us guessing, well, maybe he played a heavier role. He said that he played a heavy role in there, and on that grounds, that would cause the case to be reversed and go back for a new trial.
So that last point he made there is really important. If the judges focus in on that thing about the juror, that means the case is reversed and she gets a new trial. If we get them agreeing with the defense on that first non-prosecution agreement, the whole thing could be vacated. She could be out on the street, Ashleigh.
Well, I can't wait. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.